Hi everyone, this is week 33, it's Matthew's Movie Mentions, so we're doing everything up to the 20th of August. This week was finally, we got to Godalming Film Festival, which is the village I live in, and I've been on the committee for planning the film festival this year. So I spent a lot of the week actually wrapped up in the cinema experience, so setting up the venues and taking tickets and answering questions. I saw more than the films that I'm listing today, but because I've already listed them this year, I'm not logging them again. So Amelie, Blood Simple and Breakfast at Tiffanys I watched because I was on the door doing tickets for them, but they're not being logged this week. You can find information about them on a previous week. However, this week we are talking about The Red Balloon, The Sting, Rear Window, Captain America the Winter Soldier, The Big Lebowski, Babe, Thelma and Louise, Oblivion, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. So, The Red Balloon is a favourite short film of the festival committee, so I think the plan is to show that every year. It is a delightful story. It's reminiscent of something like the Snowman, but it's done perfectly for its runtime. Really nice Parisian streets back in, I think, the 50s, this might even be in maybe the 60s. But yeah, lovely story of a boy and his balloon. The Sting, I was recommended to watch as Robert Redford retired from acting. For whatever reason, I just could not get into this. It just did not hold my attention, and it took several attempts for me to get through it. I think the problem is that the film wants us to root for the criminals, but it doesn't give them any redeeming features, any redeeming character qualities, and the heist itself is not particularly interesting, so I didn't enjoy that as much as I think other people had. Rear Window is one of the last major Hitchcock films that I hadn't seen, and this is easily the best of his films that I've seen so far. Very well told. I really enjoyed Rear Window. Captain America the Winter Soldier, I saw once when it came out, and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't so well versed in the stories and the characters at that point. Now, I still enjoyed it. It's less of the political thriller that people lauded it for at the time. There is a lot of superhero stuff in here that possibly detracts from what could be a really gripping story. Seeing Jenny Agutter and her stunt double doing action stuff is worthwhile and makes the whole film worth it, though. The Big Lebowski is the third time I've watched it, and I still don't really like this film. The story is a little all over the place. The best characters in it do not get enough time on screen, and everything with John Goodman's character just irritates me. Particularly, my wife pointed out that we don't actually get any reason why everyone spends time with him. He's such an awful person, you just can't see why they're friends. There are pieces in it that you could see could make it a really good film, but it just doesn't, for me, come to anything. Babe, we saw as part of the festival with 100 other people, mostly children, so that was a lot of fun. The first half is a bit hit and miss. It rushes through the adventures of Babe before it settles into the story of Babe the Sheep Pig. Once we get there into that plot, it's solid, but it means we don't get enough time with some of the sundry characters and some of the B-plots that might have been quite interesting. Thelma and Louise, I think I always give the film more credit than I feel it possibly deserves. It is beautifully shot, and the performances from the two leads are incredibly strong. It's just not a film for me, I think. Oblivion is another recommendation from recent conversations. It's the reveal was better than some sci-fi that I've seen, certainly more interesting, but there was a distinct lack of why. Particularly the reveal about who the antagonist is. It then makes me go, wait, so why are they doing what you're telling us that they're doing? It made sense before, now it makes less sense. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I finally got to the cinema to see it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Ludwig Kitzman on Twitter described the first Ant-Man as sorbet for the MCU, and this sequel is exactly that again. It is fun, it's refreshing, but it's pretty inconsequential. And Star Wars The Last Jedi, I didn't really enjoy it when it came out, and I still don't. And it's hard not liking The Last Jedi, because I feel like my reasons for not liking it are different than the outraged fans on social media. But if I complain about it too much, I end up lumped in that group, which I don't really want to be. I wish the film was kept as this sort of tense, claustrophobic chase that they set up at the beginning. But then we have people suddenly disappearing from the chase and getting to have a side adventure. I wish Kylo Ren made a decision other than join me and we'll rule together, which we've seen in 2 other trilogies and was okay done there, but by this point it's like, no, you can do something different. I wish Finn was allowed to make a sacrifice, although I do get that they're setting up the nice piece of save what you love rather than destroy what you hate, which is very nicely done. But I think I would have enjoyed a sacrifice. It would have, again, been different for a Star Wars film. I just feel like they are making the Star Wars trilogy again, rather than making new films in that universe. There is a lot to love in it. The lightsaber fight is sublime. The second half is pretty solid. But like I said with Rogue One, I think by the time we get there, it's already turned me off a lot. So my recommendation this week is probably Rear Window. I think that's probably the best film I saw this week that I've logged. I loved the quiet tension throughout it. I liked that the story unfolded without needing a major sort of peak or action sequence or something in it. It just unfolded and you weren't quite sure what was going on. I wish at the end we hadn't been told exactly what had happened, but, fine. I love how every scene was in this guy's room. That was really nicely done. The best film that I'm not logging this week is probably still Amelie. I recommended it earlier in the year, and I'll do so again. Amelie is wonderful. It's worth seeking out for everyone, so go and see that. So next week, a couple of podcasts next week, so we've got some good fun comedies coming up. And there's some new stuff coming out on Sky that I'm quite excited to see, so I will be speaking to everyone in, what are we up to now? Week 34. Terrific. I will speak to you next week.